Hi, everybody. I'm Kayla with Galliano Realty. This is my Big Easy home. And today I am on Royal Street with Forrest. How do you say your last name?
Bacigalupi.
Bacigalupi, Forrest Bacigalupi, who is in the process of opening up a. Will you tell him what it is?
It remains to be seen, perhaps. It's an art gallery, boutique, gift shop, where we are bringing paintings of misunderstood monsters to life through puppeteering and a broader based world of misunderstood monsters.
Awesome.
Yeah, so come and find out how that
So
plays
totally
out,
mundane, like same old here on Royal Street. No, that sounds really exciting and really fun. And I've seen, and you're doing this with your sister.
With my sister, right. She has a business called Leroy's Place, and she already has a small boutique art gallery in New York and Brooklyn. She started out here, had a baby. Their family, her husband's family, was mostly located around New York City. So she moved up there and decided to execute this project that was supposed to happen here in New Orleans, in New York, because of the parameters of living in the city. She's had to sort of, alter and shape that business to the sort of neighborhood that she's located in. Mm-hmm. And so this kind of became an interesting opportunity for us to team up, to work as a family team, in an effort to I guess, help each other succeed, as best in our own creative projects, but with the idea that she can sort of, execute this project a little more authentically here in New Orleans, with somebody at the helm who gets it, and has seen everything develop from the beginning to now, and has a vision for where it could potentially go in the future.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, so I've seen your sister's work. I went to a show, and I also own some art that both of you guys have done. So
Really?
Let's take the show first. So
Sure.
I saw some Leroy's Place, and it was a wonderful night. The three-dimensional art displays were sort of really magical. It was like looking into another world, and really played, from what I can remember, a lot with like perspective.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys are going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we've even got that idea, that forced perspective, to really create an interactive sense of space that just sort of warps your vision a little bit, and and brings you into a different environment, in a very immediate and sort of physical way. Jacques Dufour and Whitney are Serene's two creative partners, and ultimately, our two creative partners now, with this project. And so with the puppet sort of side of things, the films that we've made and the different puppet performances that we've done, with a number of collaborators in New Orleans, but the core team and executor of that kind of world is Jacques. And Jacques is who's helping with the creative build out here at Leroy's Place, New Orleans. And so we are going to have all of these very interesting angles, non-traditional. I mean, we took basically a white boxed rectangular, retail space in the French Quarter, and we've been building it out to really look like something that that you've never seen before, that hasn't existed before.
It almost has like a fun house quality to
Sure.
it, in that you do sort of feel like your perspective is just
Right.
completely challenged.
Well, and with the creative genius, I would say, of Jacques, is sort of illustrated with the puppet performance that I think that you're talking about.
Yeah, there was some puppet.
Was a giant set was constructed in cardboard. You could put it up on one side, and as it was on that side with that orientation, you had the inside of a cave, of a dinosaur, the main protagonist, dinosaur's cave, with all of his, living room, kitchen, with his beakers and his bookshelves and all of his tools and all of
Because
these
every
amazing
dinosaur
props.
has beakers and bookshelves.
In Leroy's Place, they certainly all do.
They all do.
And they're
Okay.
amazing cooks too, and very friendly. And then what was beautiful was to sort of play around with the set and be able to have this narrative play out in different environments, but that were all hand built and sort of part of this same aesthetic. you could then take this giant space, which was forced perspective and interesting, and then flip it on its top, and then it transformed into this giant sort of exterior space, which were all mountains with, the stream running through it, and then you got to see, the rest of that narrative sort of play out in that environment. So we're, this is very quirky, and we're going to have a number of these characters that some of which you saw and will be familiar with inside the store, as window displays, as sort of interactive Instagrammable puppet areas, as just installations that are going to sort of tie in with and sort of like echo and give context to some of the different products that we're going to be selling in there as well. So
awesome. So I know you as a jewelry maker,
right,
first.
Right.
And I have a necklace that you made. It's a key, and there's a watch key.
Beautiful.
With a number 6 on it. I love. Are you going to be selling some of your jewelry type art here?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll have an opportunity to curate a really good collection of my work. During COVID, I've been sort of not doing art shows, as you can imagine, I'm sure. And instead, I've been hanging out and spending, time in my studio developing a new body of work. So as I dig into opening this boutique, I'm not going to be in the studio that much. So it's very fortunate that I've had this year and a half to produce a really interesting new collection of work. So that'll be ready to go. And we'll... Jacques, right now on the sidelines, out of the field of view of this video, is working on the jewelry display that we're going to put in there. So we've got this sculptural jewelry display that's beautiful. He sculpted this tree, which is a really incredible prop that we're going to be hanging all of these necklaces off of. And then we built this kind of like terraced sort of tabletop that almost looks like a topographical map or something like that. It's really beautiful and non-linear, which I really like, and we're going to be displaying all the work on there. And it's not just going to be my work. I'm going to be in charge of curating the jewelry. We're going to have probably 4 or 5 other artists that are jewelry designers that are going to be part of the collection. But my work is going to be highlighted, and of course I'm going to be very excited about giving my space to breathe here in the French Quarter on Royal Street, which is an exciting opportunity that I have not had heretofore.
Is that something that you guys have been wanting to do for a long time? Is that a vision, being kind of in the Quarter?
Well, absolutely. Serene, my sister, did a show with Orleanians Gallery, which was about, less than a block away from where we are right now. Orleanians was here for a very short moment. It was... there was a real problem with ownership, and there was a whole negative sort of fallout after it was done. It turned out that one of the owners was kind of a shady character, and so Orleanians ended in like a giant tailspin and explosion. But fortunately, my sister was one of the very first artists to show her work there, and she was given space for a few months and had an extraordinarily successful show. I think it was over Jazz Fest maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and so. As things were getting dicey, and right before she moved out of town, the owners offered her sort of control of Orleanians. And so that was sort of her last moment before leaving New Orleans, was this consideration of possibly having a gallery on Royal Street. So she considered it very seriously. I personally had a folk art gallery for about 6 years on Oak Street near the universities, from 2008 to 2014. And so I did a little stint with brick and mortar, had my fun with it, and then at that point decided I needed to choose a lane and either be a jewelry designer or be a gallerist. I chose to do jewelry design. So I had my own experience running a gallery. And so this opportunity to dig into a beautiful location on an incredible street.
Let me just say, so it's in the 900 block of Royal Street. It is directly, pretty close across from the Cornstalk Hotel, and just maybe a block away from Fifi Mahoney's.
We're 2 doors down.
Two doors down from Fifi Mahoney's.
There are a handful of kind of like anchor galleries. Haruni, who's been here forever, is on this block.
Right.
Antio Gallery, which is wonderful and has been here for several years, is on this block. Graphite Gallery has been here for 12 years plus. He's on the block. Mortal Machines is amazing, kind of like pop art gallery that's wonderful. A couple doors down, there's Alchemy, which is a textile gallery, and the artist who owns that, Kate Beck, has been doing textile work here for many years. Then there's Frank Relli Gallery, which is, Frank is an amazing photographer, well known. He's been here for a shorter amount of time, but he's here as well. My gallery now, Idea Factory, which is a wooden toy shop, and has been here for 40 years.
There is a lot of great. This is I was a well-traversed street for me whenever I was a tour guide.
Yeah.
And now that you're saying all of those things, I'm like pinging
So
exactly
it's very good company. And
awesome.
As a new addition to the neighborhood, I've really, I've been really excited at the response that we've gotten, the appreciation, sort of camaraderie that's already been sort of showed to us by the different gallerists and shop owners on this block. I know that there's going to be a nice little nexus here, and even though we're new, I think that we'll be able to very quickly sort of establish ourselves, because ultimately our businesses aren't that new. I've been making jewelry here in New Orleans for 14 years. Throughout the time that I've been here, I've probably had at least 15 or so wholesale accounts in the quarter, so I'm not completely unfamiliar with selling my work in the quarter, but the day-to-day pacing of running a gallery is going to be a whole new thing.
And on a very busy street.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, this was a product of this COVID. I don't think the space would have been available had it not been for a lot of businesses going under. And so this is also in an effort to honor those that have come before, and to try to really turn something that was ultimately incredibly negative for so many people, me certainly included, and my sister certainly included, try to turn this into a positive thing and try to build something. That was a good lesson learned after Katrina. Was I really think that the breadth of our arts community really was able to establish itself in the aftermath of Katrina. Sort of each neighborhood having its own little microcosmic issues sort of led to a number of neighborhood art markets, which led to a lot of people leaning into creative self-expression as a way to find some sort of power after the Katrina experience, after losing a lot of the points of identity and everything. And I think that led to this really amazing creative community that we've had in the visual arts, especially because before Katrina, I moved here in 2000, and my experience of the arts community from 2000 to 2005 was very much a kind of European salon patron-based model.
Wow, okay.
It was a completely different environment, and the post-Katrina environment really democratized the art that was being done here in a different way that allowed people to actually run businesses that were, that yielded enough results that they were able to establish themselves, in real, more noble, reasonable, humane ways. So, yeah, that's taking that lesson and applying it here to this post-COVID environment. I really think there's going to be a new shift, and there's going to be a shift towards a lot of artist collectives, and there's going to be, the landscape's inherently going to change.
Yeah. And
so we're hoping to be on the front end of that, and trying to make something interesting happen and do it in a way where we can really bring a lot of our friends along with us. We're going to have 20 plus artists that we're representing in the gallery, with work ranging from $5 all the way up to $5,000. So we're really going to try to cover a lot of ground in order to appeal to the broadest base of consumers locally and from out of town as we can.
Yeah, I feel like it's a characteristic of New Orleans, sort of death and resurrection is kind of just a theme here that you see everywhere you go. But I think certainly for sure in the 21st century, the responding to deeply effective natural disasters of different forms outside of our control, just like insane things that have really forced a massive shift in the city, that have been tragic and certainly life-altering for a lot of people. It has also made our community stronger. It's brought the city together in a way that I think has made us a very unique space for community sort of feeling and development. You know your neighbors, and you've got the shop on the street. You know all of the artists on the street. That's not something I think that you experience everywhere. Right. And I think it's actually been interesting to see how space has kind of created new things, and like space has developed for new things to grow. Very swampy. Very swampy.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
As we should be.
No, there's a lot of fertilizer.
Thank you. That's a much better imagery than I was doing.
It's out of the fire, out of the ashes rise. Yeah. Like all of this new growth. And, I think that in this crazy like organismal environment, New Orleans very much is its own like kind of living, breathing entity, and is subject to those same realities of cycle. And
she is an organism in and of herself.
And then it's incumbent upon us to try to figure out how to respond as effectively as we can to that in order to really be fluid and then grow.
Yeah.
So.
And that. Need for adaptability is a great environment for an artist or anyone with a creative mindset.
Sure. I think. More than anywhere else that I've ever been in my life, in New Orleans, I've truly never felt creatively stymied, and I can't say that anywhere. I've never gotten writer's block. I've never, found the environment to be humdrum when I leave my house. I still see things all the time that I'm like, oh my God, only in New Orleans, and it's just nothing becomes pedestrian here. There's constantly so much, grist for the creative mill and food for thought, and all of those kind of cliches, but it really does create this robust environment for the creative vision to really thrive, and it doesn't matter the medium, it's all good. And it's true that there is this real sort of like inward looking culture that is self-supporting in a really beautiful way, and it's despite some of the complicated aspects of living here in New Orleans, that's what makes it the best, is really the constant support that you have, from within this, community of very engaged people.
Yeah. I think when people talk about like they know what it's like to miss New Orleans, or do you know what it means to miss New Orleans, I think that community, that creativity, that support, that it's never boring, it's never mundane, it's never pedestrian, And one of the things I wanted to ask you was what inspires you. And it sounds from what you just said that like everything around you in this city inspires you.
That's it. I mean, I'm an extrovert. I'm a sponge.
No.
COVID lockdown was very hard for me. I sat at my window like this all day, every day.
You're so easy to talk to. I mean, I love this. I'm sort of extroverted, but I also definitely need time to go and like be in my hole.
Yeah.
I need that a lot. So, but I love meeting people who just, the conversation could go on forever because there's just, they always have something to say. Yeah. I love it. It's so easy to talk
until I lose my voice.
Until you lose your voice. Well, then we'll stop the video and we'll be done. So you said you've been here since 2000.
2000.
Where did y'all grow up?
I grew up with my sister in Norman, Oklahoma, rural Oklahoma, which is a very strange place to be from. Our parents were both professional artists. They were from both coasts. My mom's from New York, my dad's from San Francisco. They met each other in a yoga ashram as kind of like 1960s hippie journey to the Easters. They were in arranged marriage. They got married, hitchhiked out of there, and were essentially dropped off in Oklahoma and said, why not? It's a college town. It's a place where we can make a difference. It's equidistant to either coast. And so, so we grew up with these in a very strange sort of loving, creative, but unusual family dynamic. And we traveled around the country pretty much 30 weeks out of the year. We were in a van, sort of on the front end of this like American craft movement, with them going to a different town, going to a different little like art show every weekend. And so my sister and I kind of like soaked all of that up and are products of that weird environment. And both of us were not encouraged to do art at all.
Okay.
And both of us, in fact, tried to do other things. Our degrees are not in arts. Both of us have like lived other professional lives, but both of us came back around to art very honestly, and And ultimately, it seemed, the most comfortable, reasonable landing spot for both of us to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I also have a wind chime that I think one of y'all made that I bought at her shop when she was moving. She kind of did like a flash sale or something.
Yes.
Do you remember ever making wind chimes?
Was it obsidian?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It is the most beautiful sound. It's the most beautiful wind chime I've ever heard.
I'm so happy that you have that. Okay. Yeah. So that wind chime was made by this delightful couple, Deborah and Richard Bloom. Deborah and Richard Bloom were in Portland, Oregon. When I opened up my shop initially in 2008, they were the very first artists that I called to carry their work. I met them on the road doing a show. I thought they were wonderful, quirky people, and they made wonderful, quirky art. And for Mother's Day, I went to their studio, and they let me design a wind chime out of these boxes and bins of 1 million different seeds and pods and obsidian volcanic glass shards. And I made this beautiful wind chime for my mom. And then when I opened my shop, I immediately reached out to them and talked to them. So I didn't make that wind chime, but there were only a handful of those. Man, I might have. There might be 30 of those. Wow. There might have been 30 of them.
Makes it even more beautiful.
And I have 2 of them.
Okay,
so
nice.
28
awesome.
Otherwise, and you have one of them,
and
which is
wonderful.
One.
And I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It really is beautiful. And wind chime, it's important. The sound matters. You want it to be beautiful and you want it to look nice, but if it doesn't sound good, it's kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And I had been going around shaking up wind chimes all over the darn place, not finding anything that sounded beautiful to me. And when I heard that one, I was like, that is it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's obsidian. I mean, those shards are all
gorgeous.
naturally formed bits of volcanic glass.
I thought it was obsidian. I knew it was. Okay, that's what I remembered. I knew it was some kind of natural.
It's got that beautiful little sound. It's so delicate, and it's because it's really dense, super dense material. It's actually very difficult to. If you're doing lapidary work, obsidian is really tough to work.
Okay. It's gorgeous. And then I have one more thing that kind of comes from the sphere of you and your sister. I have a graphic T-shirt that is a bunch of cats and thongs mooning.
Yeah.
That I absolutely love.
Yeah, twerking kitty cats. In fact, we have our greeter for the shop is going to be a 7-foot tall giant neon cat named Carl, who's going to be welcoming everybody into the space. And he, Whitney, Jacques' partner, is hand sewing all of this individually dyed fabric that she has pieced and sewn and is ultimately pulling onto Carl, all 7 feet of him, like a giant sock, skinning him out from head to toe. And it's amazing. Now, Carl was a featured character in the last puppet film that we did over Halloween, which was The Candy Witch, which you can watch on Vimeo or on YouTube, I think.
Awesome.
At leroysplace.com.
Okay.
So please check that out.
I'm going to link that in every place I can where I post the videos.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as that goes, we've all got Instagrams with my jewelry, which is Arts Kinetic. My sister's Leroy's Place. There's content that abounds on all the different stuff, the Facebook pages and the websites and the Etsy's and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But our shop is going to be very, very softly opened, basically at the 1st of August. We're going to open our doors and just start to get some people to come in and figure out, what we need to do. And it's going to be a chaotic mess, but it's going to be wonderful.
Yes.
And
I'm going to come back for that.
We're going to be working out the kinks, but then we're going to have an actual, I think, on the 21st of August, which is a Saturday, we're going to have kind of a soft opening party, and we're going to invite all of our friends to come over. And so, from here on out, please come by and visit anytime.
I will.
It's going to be great. We just yesterday, essentially, or day before yesterday, finished painting and doing the drywall. And now we close the chapter on that part of the build out, and we shift over to the creative stuff. So now we're doing the installation of all these sculptural fixtures, bookshelves, and we've got Jacques and Whitney built a lot of the props for the Big Frida video recently, and so we've repurposed some of those props to be this kind of like weird off-kilter bodega display. And so we're gonna have like a cool drink cooler that's filled with all sorts of fun stuff, and like some like bodega produce racks as like flip bins for prints and things. So yeah, now we get to do that part of it.
Now
and
the
actually
real
put the art on the
creativity
wall.
comes in. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's
well,
awesome
I would love to
shit.
come back and do another video and kind of take people
Great.
through whenever it's all like when you feel
that
ready
would be
to
wonderful.
have people
That
come
would
through
be
the door. Just to kind of bridge, you know, this conversation with your opening, so people can kind of see. For those who aren't from New Orleans or don't live here or may not be able to visit, they'll at least get to see the result of everything that we've been talking about. That would be awesome.
That's really wonderful. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so excited to finally get this thing going, and this has been in the works for a while, and my sister and I have been sort of like cultivating the plans to do this throughout a lot of COVID. You know, this is we were very excited about making something happen immediately after you know, life opened back up. We were able to get vaccinated and like kick things off, and so I'm really excited to be able to show it off.
Yeah, so like our social spheres kind of overlap a little bit, and we just kind of ran into each other at we're a yacht show.
Yeah,
and and I was like, oh, I should interview Forrest because he's an artist. And then he's like, oh yeah, we're doing this thing. And then you just started talking about this, and I got so excited. I was like, this is even better, even better.
Timing is wonderful.
So I will come back for sure.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's great. I can't wait.
Okay, so Arts Kinetic, Leroy's Place. What other tags do you guys have on social media?
I mean, that's pretty much it. Arts Kinetic and Leroy's Place. I don't know. Jacques' old socks is Jacques Dufour. He's making wonderful art that's going to be in the space for sale, but all of the sculptural installation work is also he and Whitney's work. I don't know if Whitney has her own portfolio, but yeah, I mean, all Leroy's Place is probably going to be the main sort of, you know, home base for all of our collective work, and then my jewelry, of course, at Arts Kinetic.
And if anybody wants to reach you directly for any reason,
yeah,
what's the best way to do that?
Email me at artskinetic@gmail.com or at Instagram. You can DM me at artskinetic.
Awesome. He's great to talk to. He likes to talk. He'll just, you know, he'll talk to you. So it's awesome.
Don't be
shy.
Don't be any questions.
Don't be shy.
I'll do my best to answer.
Awesome. Forrest, thank you so much. I can't wait to come back and see the open space. I'm very excited for you, and I appreciate you so much for doing this. It's hot, y'all. It's July in New Orleans. I'm sweating
it is
like a you know what, and so I appreciate you.
We have just a little bit of French Quarter courtyard, which is is a whole new situation for me.
It's lovely, and it's so. I mean, thank goodness we're in the shade. It would be so unbearable if we didn't have that. But so yeah, I've been outside all day doing this, and so I'm ready to go into some air condition now.
That's great.
All right.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I can, if you'd like, I can show you the just a quick preview of the space itself. It's bare, but right now it's like sparse and spare and kind of beautiful, and you can see. It might be interesting just to see it, and then to compare with you know, the after version once we put all the stuff in it. So.
Awesome. Okay, you guys know how to get in touch with him. If you have questions about real estate in New Orleans, contact me wherever you're watching this video, and we are going to take you inside and kind of see the before-ish picture of what's happening here. So
this is another really cool sculptural display that Jacques has been building, and we've got this wonderful artist named VHS Girl, and we're going to have a ton of her original paintings as well as prints, which are all old VHS tapes. A lot of like just cult movies, but all done with these like really funny illustrations that are just kitschy and wonderful. This is the beginnings of our dream cooler. And then this is, you know, this is still it's still a bona fide, you know, workspace. It's not quite a gallery yet, but you can see what we're doing.
Go ahead.
So we took, this used to be a veterinary clinic.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what was here before.
Okay.
Oh no, we had a little kitty cat sitting in the window.
A giant kitty cat.
Yeah.
That big fat cat that was in the window forever. So when we got it, it was just white boxed, and so we kind of doctored up the space and created these interesting kind of angles. So we've got like a kiosk and checkout counter. This is going to be kind of a clothing display. We're going to have the Serene's collection of kind of like icons. And so there's going to be t-shirts.
Those are great.
We're going to have socks. We're going to have all of her like icons as jewelry. So cufflinks and keychains and earrings and necklaces.
So excited
This is going to be
coming
kind
around.
of a rotating creative installation space.
Okay.
That's going to be kind of interactive. We'll have the 7-foot Carl will have a tree that has branches with a canopy going over the top from the front. And from this corner as well, we'll have a TV embedded in here that's going to be playing all of the animations that we've done. And we're going to continue to work with, that's actually one of the things that I really want to do, is find collaborators to take these paintings and to sort of bring these paintings to life so that we can have individual kind of vignettes that we can add to the mix and have this database of working with claymation people, working with tradish animation people, working with puppets. We've got some shadow puppet pieces. So, you know, Serene has about 150 paintings or so that she's done. And we have, you know, all of the puppet films and stuff have been developed from those paintings. The idea is to keep on taking those individual panels and to kind of develop and broaden the narrative for those. Yeah, so we'll have great like fine art and beautiful gallery work here, and then more like product over here. So yeah, that's the vision.
And August 1st, you
August,
said?
I mean,
that's not very far.
It's aggressive as can be, if not aspirational.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We've got now that the drywall is installed and painted, you know, really it's just up to us to. I mean, this is all product, so we're just gonna have to unpack these boxes and start to find where everything lives.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I'm super excited. I will come back.
Great.
So let's just keep in touch.
Great. I can't wait.
And I can't wait to. All right. Thanks so much, Forrest. I appreciate it.